I'm a top-tier simp with absolutely no dignity. My wife, Willow, just to be with her true love, not only secretly had an abortion, but also wanted me to get a vasectomy for the sake of love, she said. Giving birth costs a woman half her life. A man who truly loves a woman wouldn't bear to let her go through childbirth for him. And if you won't even get a vasectomy for me, how can you still have the nerve to say you love me? So, in a fit of anger, I immediately booked a vasectomy on the spot, and even promised I'd never reverse it. However, what Willow didn't know was, this was a tragic novel. She was the pitiful second female lead with a miserable fate. Makoto was the male lead who would ultimately destroy her life and family, and me, as a conqueror. All that groveling and simping in the past was just for money. Playing the devoted lover and staging a redemption arc was nothing more than completing a mission. How did she actually take it seriously? Now that my mission is complete, the system's $1.5 billion reward has already been credited. I was just worrying about how to make my exit. After all, I still have to rush off to save the tragic third female lead. Well, can't be helped. Who told me I got bound to a redemption system? According to the system's rules, as long as I redeem one tragic female supporting character, I earn a reward of $1.5 billion. A person can't, or at least shouldn't, go against money, right? Chapter 1. In the 5th year of redeeming Willow, she personally forced me onto the operating table. I stared silently at the woman who had personally aborted our child. That's right, 1 week ago, Willow hid it from me and secretly terminated our baby. A child that had just reached 2 months, and now, she personally sent me to the operating room to make me undergo a vasectomy. That day, Willow said with a serious expression, "George, Makoto got divorced. If he finds out I was pregnant with your child, he'll be heartbroken. I'll get rid of the baby, and you get a vasectomy. That way, it proves my innocence. Don't worry, this is the last time. Once I help Makoto move on, we'll start over. Besides, we're still young. There will be more chances. It's not like you can't reverse it later." Seeing me enter the operating room, Willow nodded in satisfaction, and walked out of the hospital without even looking back. With a bang, the operating room door slammed shut. A cold gust sweeping in, chilling me to the bone. Sigh, as expected. You can't wake someone who's pretending to sleep. And you can't save someone determined to destroy themselves. I let out a deep sigh, then stepped down from the operating table. "Mr. Wong, you." Without another word, I transferred 2,000 yuan to the doctor and said, "If anyone asks later, just say I've already had the vasectomy." After that, I spent a few hundred more to forge a certificate proving it was done. A vasectomy? Screw that, like hell I am. I'm playing a simp, not a dumbass. I don't have time to waste here with you. After all, redeeming one tragic female supporting character earns me $1.5 billion from the system, and there's another $1.5 billion already waiting for me. Chapter 2. My name is George. I used to be a nobody writer, but after staying up all night reading 10 cursed nonsense web novels, I was forcibly dragged by a system into one of them. In the original story of this novel, the second female lead gave everything for the male lead to help him start a company. She even stole confidential information from her own family's business. She also secretly transferred all her family's assets into the male lead's account. But who would have thought, once the male lead succeeded, he immediately married the female lead and threw the second female lead away like trash. I originally thought the second female lead's behavior was already absurd enough, but I didn't expect that Willow, as the second female lead, would be downright brainless. Even after the male lead got married, she was still willing to stay by his side as a mistress, and in the end, after Makoto drained the last bit of value from her, he abandoned her completely. Makoto then took the female lead abroad, leaving everything behind, and lived happily ever after with her. Meanwhile, after her family went bankrupt and everything fell apart, Willow saw a photo of Makoto marrying the female lead overseas, and jumped off a building with a relieved smile. When I read that, as an author, I furiously left a comment. No matter what sins I've committed in my life, reading this book today wipes them all clean. From now on, I'll rise step by step, prosper endlessly. Hell, even fate owes me 3 parts of good fortune. Let heaven bear witness, contract sealed. The moment I posted that comment, my vision went black. With a snap, I collapsed onto my bed and died suddenly in my tiny apartment. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself at the university where Willow and Makoto studied, and with the identity assigned by the system, as her redeemer and her classmate, I appeared right beside Willow. To be honest, at first, I was extremely unwilling. After all, I felt like someone like Willow totally deserved what was coming to her. That was, until the system said, redeem one tragic female supporting character, and receive a reward of $1.5 billion. My face changed instantly. With a bright smile, I said, "Miss Liu, your humble servant will immediately rescue you from your suffering." From that moment on, I fully transformed into Willow's simp, and I simped hard, earth-shatteringly hard. Within just 1 week of arriving at school, everyone already knew my name. George, the guy who simped for Willow so hard he lost all dignity. When Willow and Makoto went to the movies, I bought the tickets. When they went out to eat, I paid the bill. There was even one time when they went out together and got into a car accident. I rushed straight to the hospital, running around taking care of both of them, attending to Willow one moment, Makoto the next. Makoto looked visibly displeased, while Willow got annoyed and told me to leave. I almost burst into tears when I heard that. No way I could leave. If I left, what about my 1.5 billion? So I suppressed my disgust and shook my head desperately. From then on, I might as well have carved the word simp onto my forehead. Almost every outing Willow and Makoto had, I was there, serving them like a personal assistant. My good buddy David looked at me with utter disappointment and said, "George, what the hell is wrong with you? Are there no women left in the world? Is it just Sao and Willow now? You're simping this hard, don't you have any dignity at all?" Facing his question, I nodded without hesitation and said, "That's right. For me, it's Willow or nothing. That's a walking 1.5 billion. Who could possibly resist that? Come on, who here could resist? Living with dignity is great and all, but once you throw dignity away, you realize you really do make a lot more money." And just like that, I simped for Willow for 4 years. 4 years later, Makoto finally got engaged to the female lead. On the eve of the engagement, with red eyes, Makoto said to Willow, "Willow, I've found my happiness. You must take care of yourself too, and find your own happiness soon, okay?" To reassure him, Willow made a call and had me rush over. When I arrived, right in front of Makoto, Willow hooked her arm through mine and said, "Don't worry, Makoto, I've already found my happiness too. You must stay happy forever." So not only did I become part of their little act, they even made it this awkward. It was so cringe I practically carved out a 3-bedroom apartment with my toes on the ground. But for 1.5 billion, I endured it. Chapter 3. After getting together with Willow, I used every method and trick possible to redeem her. In the end, I convinced her to leave City C and escape her toxic family. After we moved out of City C, Willow gradually started acting normal. In fact, calling her a devoted wife and loving mother wouldn't be an exaggeration. She even said that she had gone too far before, that I had done so much for her. Yet she ignored it all and even spoke harshly to me. Looking at Willow's guilty expression, I couldn't help but feel a bit confused. Had she become a little too normal? Just as I was marveling at her transformation, one sentence she said made me break out in a cold sweat. She said, "Let's get married. George, you're a good, reliable man. I don't want to lose you." I was instantly terrified and hurriedly called out to the system, "If I don't marry Willow, can I still get the 1.5 billion? The system replied, "No. Marriage is required for the redemption to be considered complete. And you're at the age to get married anyway. This is an important life event, you can't delay it." Damn it. Why does this system feel like some kind of digital matchmaker? With no other choice, for the sake of 1.5 billion, I could only suck it up. But what I didn't expect was that this system was like malware. Close one window and another pops up. Not only did I have to get married, but Willow also had to get pregnant again before my mission would be considered complete. Once that happened, the 1.5 billion would be transferred to my account immediately. After coming to an agreement with the system, I fulfilled Willow's wish and rushed into a flash marriage with her. On the night before the wedding, Willow sat in the bridal room, staring blankly at a jar filled with candy. Seeing this, I couldn't help but roll my eyes hard. In the original story, those candies were taken by Makoto and the female lead when they went to a hotel to study a foreign language. Makoto had casually grabbed them from the front desk on his way out, something someone picked up so casually, yet Willow treasured them like priceless keepsakes, not even willing to eat them, saving every single one. I have to say, this woman's self-sentimentalism is really like a sow wearing a bra, one said after another. Chapter 4. Honestly, during the time when Willow started acting normal, I really did consider whether I should genuinely try being with her. After all, Willow's looks were nearly flawless, and her figure was undeniably attractive. And to be fair, during that period, she had become normal and treated me pretty well. But all those fantasies shattered completely during the wedding. When preparing the wedding rings, Willow said she wanted to design them herself, so I agreed and let her follow her own ideas. But when we got the rings back, I noticed the engraved initials were Ito Lu. She pretended to be surprised and said, "Ah, I must have gotten the initials wrong." I laughed. Even if I were an idiot, I could still tell those were her surname and Makoto's. And the way she looked at the ring, it was as if she was gazing through it at the men she could never have. So in Willow's eyes, I was basically just Makoto's substitute. I suppressed the anger inside me, a cold smile forming on my lips as I said, "How do you even mess something like that up?" Facing my questioning, Willow replied without a hint of guilt. It's just one wrong letter. George, just let it go, it'll pass. Hearing that, I was so angry I actually laughed. I decided to lay everything out plainly. Willow, let me ask you something. If I bought you a wedding dress one size too small, exactly my ex's size, would you just let it go too? Then I said sharply, Willow, do you think I'm stupid? You think I can't tell that's Makoto's initials? The moment she heard Makoto's name, her expression instantly changed. She looked at me, her face full of irritation, and said, George, how long ago was that? Why are you still hung up on it? Besides, Makoto is already married now. What are you even competing for? For a grown man, you're seriously petty. Petty. The moment I heard that word, I laughed. Anyway, I only got married for the 1.5 billion. So how this wedding turned out didn't really matter to me. So I decided to go even more casual with it. I said, fine then, let's just cancel the ring exchange ceremony. Don't bother wearing the wedding dress either. I'll return it later. We'll just treat the guests to a meal and call it a day. After all, if I lose face, I still walk away with 1.5 billion. But if Willow loses face, what does she get? Seeing that I was serious, Willow immediately panicked. She grabbed me and said angrily, George, how can you be like this? A girl only gets one chance in her life to wear a wedding dress. I don't want to have regrets. I laughed and replied, so what? Whether I have a wedding or not doesn't matter to me. You're the one who wants the ceremony, not me. Then I added, guess I'm really lucky. Spent 50,000 on a pair of wedding rings, and you engraved your real husband's name on them. My tone turned cold as I said, word by word, either you spend 50,000 right now to get a new pair of rings, or I'll have someone make a life-size standee of Makoto and put it at the entrance, and tell everyone he's your real husband. At this point, I had nothing to lose. Let people laugh if they want. I'm a practical man, not someone who cares about appearances. But Willow was different. Her vanity ran deep. She cared about her image more than anything. If I really did that, she'd never be able to hold her head up again. Chapter 5. Willow bit her lip and said, George, are you even a man? What kind of wedding is it where the woman has to pay for the rings? She added, and even if I wanted to buy them, how is there enough time now? Willow shouted at me. I looked at her coldly as she lashed out in embarrassment and anger, then said flatly, Willow, you've got it wrong. This isn't paying, it's compensation. As for whether there's enough time, what does that have to do with me? Your mistake. You fix it if you can't. As I spoke, I picked up my phone and was about to order the standee. Seeing this, Willow completely panicked. She quickly grabbed me and said in frustration, fine, I get it. I'll compensate you. Okay. With that, she rushed out of the room. While Willow was gone, I casually tossed the 2 rings into the trash. You could say I'd just done a great deed for humanity. Half an hour later, Willow came back. She stormed into the room, still fuming, and handed me a box. Here, is this enough now? Looking at the receipt for 57,000, I nodded in satisfaction. Then I got up, left the room, and handed the rings to the wedding host for safekeeping. Meanwhile, back in the room, Willow was searching through the trash can for the rings I had thrown away. After failing to find them, she stormed over to me and demanded, George, where are they? I smiled faintly and said, I threw them in the trash. The moment those words left my mouth, Willow completely exploded. George, you. Before she could finish, the door was pushed open. Someone called out, hey, why are you two still here? The wedding's about to start, come out already. The wedding host looked at us anxiously. Seeing the look on Willow's face, like she wanted to kill me, I just smiled and said cheerfully, Willow, let's go. With that, I affectionately took her hand and led her out of the room. Throughout the entire wedding, Willow was furious, her face dark the whole time. Meanwhile, my mind was filled with only one thing, how I was going to spend that 1.5 billion once I got it. Just like that, each of us lost in our own thoughts. We finished the wedding. After it ended, I stood upstairs, watching Willow secretly rummaging through the trash can, and couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Willow, oh Willow, you really never change. I originally thought that after getting married, life would settle down peacefully, but clearly, I had been too optimistic. Makoto, all the way back in City C, overturned everything I had worked for with just a single phone call. On the call, Makoto was crying his eyes out, saying that he and the female lead were now getting divorced. As for why they were divorcing, he didn't say a word, just kept repeating how miserable he felt. Anyone else hearing this would probably question whether it was even true, but the moment Willow heard Makoto's voice, she became like an ant on a hot pan, completely frantic. Then she actually said to him, can I bring George along too, so we can take care of you together? When a person is truly speechless, they really do end up laughing. After hearing what Willow said, I actually laughed out loud without even realizing it. Just how deeply ingrained is my image as a simp that she suddenly remembered those good times after the car accident when I was serving the two of them. Does that mean that in the future, when they're in bed, I'll even have to stand behind and push? Chapter 6. After the call ended, Willow hurriedly packed her luggage overnight and rushed back to City C. Watching her leave, I couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Looks like my redemption mission was basically complete. 2 days later, Willow returned home, looking exhausted. When I saw her come back, I didn't say a word, I just kept scrolling on my phone, waiting to see what kind of nonsense she'd pull next. And sure enough, just as I expected, the first thing Willow said left me completely stunned. She said, "George, I got rid of the baby." When she said that, her face was completely expressionless, as if what she had done was no different from eating or sleeping. I never imagined Willow would go this far. No matter what, that child was the flesh and blood of both of us, and in just 2 days, she had erased its existence. This woman was downright vicious. I frowned and said, "What did you just say? Say it again." I couldn't believe it and asked her to repeat herself. Noticing my expression, Willow's gaze flickered slightly, avoiding mine, but her tone remained unusually firm as she said, "I did it so Makoto wouldn't feel hurt. He's already suffering enough because of the divorce. If he found out I was pregnant with your child, he'd feel even worse, so I got rid of it. And George, I already told Makoto that you had a vasectomy for me a long time ago, so it's impossible for me to be pregnant with your child." She paused, then continued, "To prove my innocence, and to make sure Makoto doesn't feel uneasy about you, you should go get a vasectomy." Seeing that I wasn't responding, she tried to persuade me further. "You know, giving birth takes half a woman's life. A man who truly loves a woman wouldn't make her go through that for him. And if you won't even get a vasectomy for me, how can you still say you love me?" As she spoke, she even started explaining how male sterilization has no side effects, going on and on about its benefits. In the end, she didn't forget to remind me to get a checkup after the procedure, so she could show the proof to Makoto. Every single word Willow said felt like it was smoothing out the wrinkles in my brain. Chapter 7. What the hell is wrong with her? Damn, sometimes I really want to see what's inside the brain of someone like her. Why doesn't she just go all the way and tell people she's pure and untouched, and have me cut myself just to prove her innocence? So, burning with anger, I said, "You want me to get a vasectomy? Fine, I can book it right now, but I have one condition. You divorce me first, and leave with nothing." After saying that, I leaned back against the sofa, looking at her expressionlessly. Hearing this, Willow slammed her hand hard against the couch, biting her lip. She said, "George, what do you mean by that? Are you threatening me with divorce?" I spread my hands indifferently and said, "Yeah, I am." "So what?" "But, my dear wife, you wouldn't want Makoto to find out you were ever pregnant, right? So if you want me to get a vasectomy, sign the divorce papers first." With that, I pulled out the divorce agreement I had already prepared. Right now, I couldn't wait to get away from this brainless woman. Seeing this, Willow looked at me in disbelief. Her hands trembled non-stop, yet she couldn't get a single word out. Watching her stand there frozen, I couldn't help but feel puzzled. What exactly was she hesitating about? Doesn't she like Makoto? Now that he's going through a divorce with the female lead, isn't this her perfect chance to step in? Doesn't she want Makoto to finally give her a proper status? I asked, "Are you signing or not?" I shook the divorce papers impatiently in my hand, but Willow, as if she hadn't heard me clearly, stared at me and asked again, "George, I'll give you one last chance. Are you sure you want to divorce me?" I replied, "Yes." Then I repeated, "I'm very sure." Hearing that, a cold smile appeared on Willow's lips as she said, "Fine, George, just don't end up like back in college, kneeling and begging me to get back together with you." I said, "Don't worry, that won't happen. Whoever begs the other to reconcile is a dog." My tone was icy. She pressed her lips together and said, "Fine, George, you've really outdone yourself, but let me tell you, playing hard to get can backfire." With that, she signed her name on the divorce agreement. Seeing this, I didn't hesitate at all and signed my name as well. The moment the pen left the paper, Willow suddenly went crazy again. She grabbed my hand, her face twisted, and said, "George, you're really willing to divorce me? I'm telling you, once you sign this, in 1 month, we'll be completely over. Can you really accept that?" Hearing that, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I've been praying day and night for this moment, and she's asking if I can accept it. Not accept it? What a joke. If there were music right now, I'd be so happy I could start rapping on the spot. I shook her hand off and said with a grin, "Not only can I accept it, I've been looking forward to it." Willow stared at me in disbelief, her face going from flushed red to pale white. It seemed she finally realized something was slipping out of her control. Chapter 8. After watching me enter the hospital operating room, Willow couldn't wait to go find her precious Makoto, and after she left, I transferred 2,000 yuan to the doctor, telling him that if Willow asked later, he should say I had already gotten the vasectomy. After leaving the hospital, I heard that Willow, in order to better take care of Makoto, had moved him into our marital home. When the female lead, Sophia, found out about this, she rushed over from City C without hesitation. The three of them turned the house upside down, causing absolute chaos. This time, I finally didn't have to play the sucker and go save that idiot Willow, so I took out the divorce agreement, along with Willow's pregnancy report, and questioned the system. My mission is complete now, right? The system didn't even bother verifying whether the documents in my hand were real. It immediately set off a virtual firework. Congratulations, host, on completing the mission. The 1.5 billion reward has been credited, with zero legal risk. Please feel free to check your account. Hearing this, I excitedly grabbed my phone, and sure enough, there was a bank notification. I counted 1 0, 2 zeros, 3 zeros, 4 zeros. Looking at the endless string of zeros in front of me, I suddenly found myself missing the spicy street hotpot from Chengdu. Just as I was lost in thought, the familiar system notification sound rang again. It said, "New target detected. Anna, female, 27 years old, the second female lead's best friend." After the second female lead's suicide, she originally planned to take revenge on the male lead. However, during the process, she became uncontrollably in love with him. In the end, while protecting the male lead, she was stabbed through the heart and died on the spot. Mission objective: save the third female lead and prevent her tragic fate. I picked my nose out of boredom and said, "Seriously, you think I'm some sucker you can mess with? For an idiot like that, not even a dog would bother saving them." The system replied, "This time the mission reward is doubled." I shouted, "If dogs won't save them, I will. Where are they?" Chapter 9. When I got home, Anna was helping Willow clean up the mess in the room. The moment Willow saw me, she exploded like a powder keg. Like a rabid dog, she lunged at me and grabbed my clothes, shouting, "George, was it you who told Sophia that Makoto was here? It's all your fault. Makoto and I both got hurt. You bastard, bastard." Willow screamed as she pulled at me. Without hesitation, I raised my hand, smack, and slapped her across the face. "Willow, if you're sick, go to a hospital. I don't even want to deal with your mess with Makoto. I'm only here to take my clothes and my ID." Willow held her reddening cheek, staring at me in shock. She couldn't believe that the man who once obeyed her every word, chased after her like his life depended on it, and stayed by her side through her darkest times, would treat her like this now. At that moment, it seemed she finally realized, I wasn't joking before. I might really not love her anymore. Or perhaps I never loved her at all. The next second, "How can you hit someone?" Anna rushed forward and shielded Willow, and Makoto, who had been standing silently to the side, immediately started barking the moment someone else stepped in. "George, you're a grown man hitting a woman, are you even a man?" Just as he finished speaking, a steady voice rang out, "Well done." Willow's father had somehow appeared at the doorway. Seeing her father, Willow immediately rushed into his arms like she had found her backing, softly sobbing, "Dad, Mom. George hit me, you have to stand up for me." But her father's face was dark as he pushed her away and shouted, "Willow, who told you to divorce George?" Willow immediately retorted, "It wasn't me, it was George who asked for the divorce." Her father roared, "Bullshit, don't think I don't know. You were the one who aborted your own child and then tried to force George to get a vasectomy. That's why he divorced you. Willow, have you lost your mind? Throwing away a good life, killing your own child, all for a married man." Her father's face turned red with anger, his hands trembling uncontrollably. Hearing this, Makoto lowered his head awkwardly, but Willow, upon hearing those words, immediately became furious. She lifted her chin and argued back, "Makoto is the best man in the world. No one can compare to even a single hair of his, let alone George. A man like him, who only knows how to snitch, isn't even worth a damn compared to Makoto." The moment she finished speaking, Claude, who had already reached his limit, raised his hand and slapped her hard across the face. Smack! The sharp sound echoed through the room. Willow's father shouted angrily, "Willow, I think you've completely lost your mind. You're a grown adult and can't even tell right from wrong. George didn't report anything to me. These things were all uncovered by the housekeeper. If it weren't for the housekeeper, I wouldn't even know that my own daughter, Claude's daughter, could be this stupid." Chapter 10. After saying that, Claude waved his hand. Immediately, a group of men in black suits entered the room and dragged Willow out. "What are you doing? Let me go. Let me go." Willow struggled and screamed desperately, until her voice finally faded away. After Willow was taken away, Claude turned to me with a guilty expression and said, "George, we've wronged you. We'll take Willow back and discipline her properly. As for the divorce, I hope you can reconsider. I scratched my head and said, Uncle, about that matter, Before I could finish, Claude cut me off. He patted my shoulder and said, that's enough, George. I've already transferred $500,000 into your bank account as compensation. This house is yours now as well. Oh, and George, I have something to take care of, so I'll be leaving. With that, Claude turned and walked away. Watching his departing figure, I couldn't help but sigh. With such good parents, how did they end up with a daughter like that? I turned and said, so, are you two leaving on your own, or do you want me to personally throw you out? I smiled as I looked at the two behind me. Hearing that, Makoto ran off like a stray dog, fleeing in utter embarrassment. As for Anna, she walked up to me indignantly and said, you just wait, what you did to Willow today won't just be brushed off like this. With a cold snort, she turned and headed for the door. Watching Anna walk away, I shook my head helplessly. In the original story, Anna was actually a very kind-hearted person, but because she grew up in a broken family, she developed a deep emotional void. So later, when she helped Willow take revenge, Makoto only needed to show her a little bit of warmth, and she fell for him completely, unable to pull herself out. And when Makoto secretly had an affair and was targeted for revenge by someone's husband, she stepped in without hesitation and took the fatal stab meant for him. How should I put it? This woman is the definition of someone ruled by love. I honestly have to admire that. But for the sake of the system's doubled reward, and also to save this emotionally starved girl, I decided, without hesitation, to begin redeeming Anna. She lacks love. Then I'll make sure she experiences what it feels like to be completely surrounded by it. Chapter 11. The next day, I casually showed up at the pet shop where Anna worked. She said, why are you here? Don't tell me you've been stalking me. The moment Anna saw me, she immediately went on edge, like a startled cat, staring at me with full suspicion. I looked at her and gave a speechless smile. Seriously, do I look that bored to you? Why would I stalk you? I'm just here to buy a dog. How was I supposed to know you work here? Don't flatter yourself. Hearing that, Anna let out an awkward laugh and said, I didn't expect you to like pets too. Yeah, I like huskies, but this is my first time raising a dog, so I'm not sure if I can take good care of it. The moment she heard that, Anna immediately started going on and on about how to properly care for a pet dog. Seeing that she had taken the bait, I began my plan. Sounds like you really know your stuff, she said. Not really. I've just loved animals since I was little, so I know a bit more than most. Anna awkwardly tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I said, in that case, I've been thinking of hiring someone to take care of my dog. You seem pretty professional, how about you do it? I smiled and looked at her expectantly. Hearing this, Anna immediately took 3 steps back, her expression turning cautious as she frowned. And you still say you're not interested in me? Sounds to me like you totally are. I sighed, pretending to be helpless. All right, then I'll just hire someone else. I don't believe that offering $20,000 a month won't get me someone to take care of a dog. With that, I bought a husky and prepared to leave. But just as I was about to walk out the door, Anna called out to me. Wait, what is it? I asked, turning back in confusion. After thinking for a moment, she slowly said, if what you said is true, then I can help you take care of the dog. Just as I expected, Anna agreed. After all, she had a seriously ill father who needed money. I don't lie, I said. Then I transferred $20,000 to her on the spot. Over the next month, Anna stayed at my place, taking care of the dog. Snowy, stop tearing the house apart. Snowy, that's not where you go to the bathroom. Hold it in. Snowy, just you wait, tomorrow I'm taking you to get neutered. Taking care of Snowy kept her busy every single day, and because she felt like I was paying her too much, she even volunteered to act as my housekeeper. After spending this month with her, I realized Anna was actually a really good girl. She had just been deceived by a scumbag like Makoto in the original story. So after observing her for a while, I decided to help her by paying a lump sum of $1 million for her father's medical treatment. Don't get me wrong, I'm not some sucker. On one hand, $1 million is basically nothing to me now. On the other hand, it's an investment. Listening to the system notification, redemption mission complete. $3 billion has been credited. I couldn't stop smiling. Spend $1 million, gain $3 billion. I couldn't possibly spend it all. Just as I was immersed in my joy, Claude called me. George, something happened to my daughter. That ungrateful girl, she ran away from home and went to live with Makoto. And now she's contracted HIV. Chapter 12. When I saw Willow again, she was standing in front of Makoto, shielding him tightly behind her, muttering, this has nothing to do with Makoto. He's not that kind of person. In the original story, after getting married, Makoto had been fooling around everywhere. In the end, the female lead discovered all his disgusting behavior, That's when she started the divorce. Willow, I'll ask you one last time, are you really going to keep following this piece of trash? Claude looked at his stubborn, delusional daughter, his face flushed red with anger, his whole body trembling. Even seeing her own father this furious, Willow still defended Makoto behind her. Makoto definitely isn't sick. It must be George, he's the one who's sick and passed it to me. As she said that, she charged at me like she'd lost her mind, but before I could even react, Anna, who was standing nearby, stepped forward and slapped Willow across the face. She shouted, "Don't come near my boyf, my employer." Anna's face turned slightly red as she glared angrily at her former best friend. Willow froze in place. It took her a while to recover before she demanded, "Anna, what do you mean by this? I treated you like my best friend, and you went behind my back to mess around with my husband." Holding her reddened cheek, Willow shouted at Anna like a madwoman. Seeing this, I pulled Anna behind me and took out the medical report I had prepared in advance. "Take a good look and see who's actually sick. And Willow, I've already divorced you. We don't have a single thing to do with each other anymore." Even faced with such undeniable evidence, Willow remained trapped in her own delusion. She tore up my medical report on the spot and shouted, "Fake. It's all fake. It must be you. George, you're the one who's sick. You can't fool me. You can't." Claude, who had long reached his limit, looked at Willow, still stubbornly refusing to wake up, and issued his final ultimatum. "Willow, I'm telling you, if you don't cut ties with Makoto today, I will disown you from the Liu family, strip you of your inheritance and leave everything to your brother. Now I'll ask you one last time, do you want your family, or do you want that useless man behind you?" Willow didn't answer. She simply walked back to Makoto and once again stood in front of him, shielding the man who hadn't said a single word this entire time. Seeing this, Claude seemed to snap from anger and suddenly burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha. Fine. From this moment on, I no longer have a daughter like you. I'll have all your bank accounts frozen. And you can stay right there with Makoto, and wait to die from your illness." With that, Claude turned and left in fury, getting into his car and driving away. Only then did Willow truly panic. She looked at me pitifully, trying to awaken whatever feelings I might still have for her. When I noticed her gaze, I let out a cold laugh. Did this woman seriously think I would still act like before, like a simp, throwing everything away to stay by her side through her darkest moment? I glanced at the time on my watch and smiled gently. "Well, since everything's settled, we'll be heading out. I wish you two a long and lasting relationship, and may you have a child soon." Hearing that, both of their expressions instantly turned ugly. Willow looked at me in disbelief and said, "George, are you really just going to abandon me like this?" I looked at her, confused. MS, Lou, if I remember correctly, we're already divorced. So what responsibility do I have to take care of my ex-wife? I stared at the woman in front of me with genuine confusion. At that moment, Anna hooked her arm around mine and let out a cold snort. "Willow, George is my boyfriend now. Watch how you behave." Hearing that, Willow exploded in anger. "What boyfriend? Didn't you just say he was your employer? Anna, do you have no shame?" Anna rolled her eyes and said, "Yeah, I did say he was my employer, but now I've decided I'm going to be his wife. And Willow, don't forget, you're already divorced from George. If anyone here has no shame, it's you." After saying that, Anna grabbed my hand. "Let's go." "All right," I replied softly, and just like that, I turned my back on Willow and walked away. Chapter 13. Seeing how decisively I abandoned her, Willow finally panicked. She rushed in front of me, spreading her arms in a fluster. "George, I'm sorry about the vasectomy and the child. That divorce agreement, I only signed it because Makoto was going through a divorce with Sophia at the time. I didn't want him to feel bad. Can you forgive me? Let's go back to how things were before, living happily together. Okay. Let's not get divorced anymore. Okay, I'm begging you." As she spoke, Willow grabbed my hand, her face full of desperation and humility. Seeing this, I shook her hand off without hesitation, looking at her with disgust. "Don't touch me. You're filthy, and I'm not trying to catch anything." As I spoke, I took out a tissue and wiped my hand. That single sentence hit Willow like a critical strike. She collapsed onto the ground like a deflated balloon, her face deathly pale. A month later, I heard from Claude. Willow had gotten into trouble again. She had stabbed Makoto to death. After losing her family's protection, Willow's quality of life plummeted. But Makoto told her that a friend of his had a big investment project, guaranteed success as long as she invested. Willow was overjoyed. So she sold all her luxury goods and handed all the money to Makoto. But who would have thought? Makoto took her money and went off to hire prostitutes. The so-called big project was completely fake. When Willow opened the door and saw Makoto with a call girl in her house, all her illusions shattered instantly. She completely lost it and shouted, "Makoto, you animal, it's all your fault. If it weren't for you, I'd still be the Liu family's daughter. If it weren't for you, I'd already be living happily with George. My child wouldn't have been aborted by my own hands. I wouldn't have gotten sick either. It's all your fault. All your fault. In the end, Willow always believed everything was someone else's fault. At this moment, the way she looked at Makoto, there was no love left, only overwhelming hatred. Makoto sneered. What does that have to do with me? Did I force you to do any of that? Did I tell you to do it? Wasn't everything your own choice? People like you are just pathetic. You deserve it. His face was filled with mockery, and those words completely ignited Willow's rage. She lost all reason. Grabbing a fruit knife nearby, she lunged at Makoto. Once, twice, 3 times. Makoto's screams echoed through the room, his clothes completely soaked in blood. But even then, Willow, like a madwoman, kept stabbing him relentlessly. No one knew how long it went on, until finally, Willow looked at Makoto's lifeless body, and only then did she drop the knife and walk toward the door. At this point, Claude couldn't help but break down in tears as he said, after Willow realized she had killed Makoto, she knew she would definitely be sentenced to death. So, she jumped into Swan Lake. Hearing this, only a few words ran through my mind. Swan Lake is ruined. Chapter 14. Willow's death didn't cause much of a stir. My life continued as usual. Anna held Snowy in her arms, looking at me expectantly as she asked, George, now that Willow is gone, can you give me a proper status? Hearing that, I fell silent and nervously at Ed, the system in my mind. I said, if I actually end up being in a real relationship with the person I redeemed, will the money be taken back? The system went silent for a moment, then suddenly burst into virtual fireworks. It said, Host, you're absolutely insane, in a good way. You actually discovered the hidden mission that's been buried this whole time. What? I was completely stunned. The next second, the system notification sounded. Congratulations, Host, for completing the hidden mission, turning a fake relationship with the redemption target into a real one. Reward, 1 billion has been credited. The wedding venue was lively and full of celebration. Looking at Anna beside me, her face filled with happiness. At that moment, I suddenly understood the true meaning behind the redemption system. Turns out, I'm the real protagonist of this world. Whoever I choose to redeem becomes the female lead.